You're listening to an archived Cabral Concept podcast. After listening to this show, check out the most up-to-date podcasts available at stephencabral.com/podcasts or search directly on iTunes. And now, welcome to the Cabral Concept, where board-certified naturopath and integrative health practitioner Dr. Stephen Cabral shares how he was diagnosed at the age of 17 with a life-altering illness and given no hope for recovery. It was only after studying and traveling all over the world did he discover how to combine ancient Ayurvedic healing practices with state-of-the-art naturopathic and functional medicine to fully rebalance the body and re-energize it with life. It's time to discover how to get well, lose weight, and finally feel alive again. And now, here's your host, Dr. Stephen Cabral.
Thanks so much for joining me here today on part one of our weekend house calls. This is our chance to really connect with the community, see what everyone is talking about, see those questions that have come in over the past couple months. We are starting today with July 15th. So questions coming in from July, I'll be answering this weekend. Looking forward to getting to as many of those as possible. Really excited, as always, to answer your questions about wellness, weight loss, anti-aging, careers in the health field, and basically everything in between. Sometimes a little motivation, and of course, product reviews, you name it. I'm happy to try to tackle that topic to the best of my ability. So without further ado, I just want to get right into the questions today, and the reason is that we have so many to get through, and I do want to make sure that I get to your question in as timely a manner as possible. Remember, if you don't want to wait the 12 weeks for me to answer your question on these weekend house calls, please do feel free to ask it any day of the week, Monday through Friday, at cabralsupportgroup.com. That's our private Facebook group. I have an amazing group there of health coaches that are able to tackle your questions, answer those, and whenever they don't have the answer, if they can't point you in the right direction based on my previous answers before, well, then that's pretty easy. They just actually send your question to me, and I'm happy to answer that myself. So check it out, cabralsupportgroup.com. We're happy to help you there, and we do love having more people join our online health community, full of so many positive people there, just looking to support each other. So it's not always just about asking your questions, honestly. Really, it should be about giving back as much as you can as well. So try to support other people, try to support them with their successes, their struggles, all of those things. We love to see the success stories there, and we also love to help whenever there's any issues at hand. So up first question of the day is from Kaylee. Kaylee's asking, good morning. I have a question that could be a strange one. My son is 24 years old and has only reached a height which is 162 centimeters, and I'm wondering if there's a chance he could grow a little bit more. His father is 180 centimeters. He's fit and a healthy young man. The problem is, he's in the Army, and there are times when the extra height would be so welcome. Thank you for your kind reply. Kind regards, Kaylee. All right, so great question. I'm happy to do my best to help answer that. You know, it's possible that at 24 years old that your son does grow a little bit more. However, that would be fairly rare to not be at your full height as a male at 24 years old. So 162 centimeters, I work a lot in kilograms and centimeters for my European clients all around the world. And obviously in the fitness field too, we do a lot with kilograms in terms of weight. So I don't know your son's weight, but I obviously have his height. So he's about 5'3" for all of those in the US. And your husband would be somewhere 5'10". Okay, so he's quite a bit shorter than your father. However, your son can also inherit height from your side of the family as well. So he could just be a little not as tall, obviously, as your husband. So, you know, it's possibly grows a little bit more. Unlikely. Most likely he will be around that height, and that will be his height. So again, nothing wrong with that. He's obviously just not as tall as your husband. For better, for worse, it just is. As I say, when it comes to body types, it just is. You know, you can look in the past, why wouldn't he be as tall? Well, simply, it could be genetics, meaning like he could have inherited genes that were not going to allow him to be as tall as your husband because they were more on your side of the family. Or if there are people that are not as tall as your husband on his side of the family, could get those. And then the other reason is too, just nutrition, nourishment, the GI tract, all of those things, minerals when he's younger. But neither here nor there. What we have is at hand around 5'3". And great. Well, then, as I say, be the very best 5'3" or the very best body type that you can be. That's it. All right, Grace is up next. Hi, I've been an on and off binge eater for many years. Something has finally clicked in me, and over the past few years, I've been able to break the cycle. I still struggle with daily heartburn, chest pain, and bloating. It happens mainly after I eat. I don't know if this is due to my many years of treating my body poorly. I've tried eliminating certain foods. I've followed a vegan diet. Like to see if there was any change, and there hasn't been. Do you recommend your 7-day Dr. Cabral detox to start fresh or give my body a restart? Or is there some supplements I should take like gut support, digestive enzymes, probiotics, etc. to help? Thank you so much. All right, Grace, great question. Again, this is coming in on July 16th of this year. So a lot of times I work with so many women with anorexia, bulimia, and the other eating-based disorders. And Grace, I'm so happy to hear that you've been able to break the cycle, because it's not easy. And, you should be really proud of that. So I'm really happy for you. So now let's get you in the best health you can be. So my goal is this. I would love for you to run an organic acids test and a stool test to see what's going on with that digestive tract, right? See if there's any candida overgrowth, very possible. SIBO, possible. H. pylori, possible. Maybe parasites, we'll see. So I'd run the organic acids test and the stool test. If you're not able to do those, well, I would do then just a gut protocol like you just spoke about. I would use digestive enzymes with each meal. I'd do the smoothie in the morning, and I would do the heal and seal, so the daily probiotic support with the healthy gut support. If it's not enough, if you're still getting the bloating after the meals, I would really look at completing those labs. And if the labs aren't within your financial means, then I would go right into the candida and bacterial overgrowth protocol. That's exactly what I would do without seeing your labs, without speaking with you in person. That is exactly what I would do. And there's no doubt about it. You'll be able to fix this. No doubt about it. All right. James is up next. I have acid reflux and I'm taking medication presently. When I stop the medication, I get weak, nausea, and throw up. How do I go about getting off the medication and heal the acid reflux? All right, James, go to stevencabral.com/podcasts. I want you to type in acid reflux in quotations. You will find all of my previous podcasts on how to get rid of acid reflux. You just need to figure out what's causing it. Food fermentation in the stomach, a hiatal hernia, candida overgrowth, bacterial overgrowth, H. pylori overgrowth, stress-induced, which most likely yours is not. So once you figure that out, you're able to then work backwards and get rid of the acid reflux. So just check that out. If you want the same advice that I gave, it would absolutely be the organic acids test and the stool test to figure out what's going on with your digestive tract as well. You would just add the food sensitivity test as well if you chose to. So I do hope that that helps, and that's your absolute best place to start. James, you can just use the information that I gave you in those previous podcasts, or you can run those labs and get exact information from me on my recommendations after I see those labs. All right. So next up is Janice. Janice is saying, my 81-year-old mother has thyroid issues, and she's been on meds and doesn't feel well. She's foggy-headed, is always tired. She has splitting nails, thinning hair, slower gait, cold hands, no energy, trouble conversing. However, she's not overweight. The doctors think she may have early Parkinson's, but she has no shakes, and the Parkinson's meds don't help at all. She thinks it is all thyroid related, but her thyroid numbers are good. With her meds, they won't test further. Would your thyroid test help uncover potential thyroid related issues that standard testing won't pick up? If so, can she take it while being on thyroid meds, or will the thyroid meds alter your test results? Really great question, Janice. Happy to answer this. And yes, the thyroid test that we run will pick up what they may not find. So, there's two tests that you can run. There's one called the thyroid adrenal hormone that we run for everyone that has these thyroid symptoms. And without a doubt, these are all thyroid symptoms for sure. Now, it can be other things. It can be low cortisol. So that's why, it's in an ideal world, this is what I would like to see. I would love to see the thyroid adrenal hormone test run by your mom, in addition to the complete thyroid, which shows the toxicity levels from cadmium, bromines, mercury, arsenic, and it also shows your selenium and iodine levels for your mom. So the problem is you would get the thyroid numbers twice by running those, but they tell you different things with cortisol levels and hormone levels. So, it's really hard for me to choose one right now. If I had to pick one, if I had to pick one, it would be the complete thyroid test, because I'd love to see your mom's selenium, and I would love to see the toxicity levels in the iodine. But again, if you can run both, then I would also run the thyroid adrenal hormone to look at your mom's cortisol levels, which could be quite low at 81 as well. And I'd like to see your vitamin D levels, etc. So that's my recommendation right there. Okay. Anna is up next. Anna's writing in saying, hi, Dr. Ball. I've listened to your podcast for a while and have really enjoyed learning about diet and nutrition. as part of a holistic, healthy lifestyle. My husband has recently heard about the carnivore diet from the podcast by Joe Rogan and Jordan Peterson. Essentially, they say you eat only meat and end up losing weight and get rid of all of your allergies, anxiety, and depression. I'm wary of it because my husband also has a history of heart disease in his family, especially on his dad's side. So the thought of him eating only red meat freaks me out. I wanted to ask if you've heard of the carnivore diet, what your thoughts are. I'm an advocate for a well-rounded diet of micro and macronutrients, including all different colors of food, but also get the feeling that everyone is different. So there is no one diet that works for everyone. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this in a podcast. And I will do a whole podcast on this. I have spoken about it many times before. The carnivore diet is not a healthy diet. There is no all-for-one diet, but there is an all-for-one diet foundation. It's called the Foundation of All Diets. That was the name of the podcast. So check that out. Please do if you can listen to that. And there is a diet for all humans, and it's 80% produce. It's 60 to 80% fruits and vegetables. Anytime you stray off of that, you've gone too far in one direction. Humans were meant to be mainly gatherers, and they did their best at hunting. But remember, we didn't have weapons, we didn't have tools, we didn't have fire for quite a long time. The carnivore diet only gets rid of symptoms in people as a Band-Aid approach. Those people have either parasites, H. pylori, SIBO, or they have yeast overgrowth, or maybe all four. And the reason they feel better is because they're not eating any fiber, no prebiotics, so it doesn't allow for any fermentation in the gut, which decreases inflammation systemically in the whole body. Now, do you say just do a diet completely devoid of the only foods we know that help to prevent cancer? Or should we just figure out why the bloating in the first place, why the fermentation in the first place, heal that, and then not have to be on something like a carnivore diet? I understand why people are doing it. I explained it on my interview on Mind Pump. That's episode 980. You'll see my interview there. But I'm happy to do this on a full spectrum podcast as well. Do keep in mind, I also did another podcast called The Mounting Evidence Against Meat. The more meat people eat, the more protein in general, whether it be vegan or animal-based, the higher their chances for cancer. It's not a good diet. It's not a healthy diet, nor will it ever be. Does it symptomatically relieve issues in the short term? Yes, but only because you're pretending that the symptoms, the real underlying root cause isn't there, so you're not feeding the bacterial overgrowth or yeast overgrowth. I would love to be able to explain this on Joe Rogan podcast. I would love to be able to explain this to Jordan Peterson from a position of helping and healing and service. I have no dog in the fight. I don't want to say anyone's wrong. It's not my goal. Why would I want to come down on anyone? That's not the goal. Jordan Peterson and his daughter are getting relief by being on a carnivore diet. But the problem is in the long term, they're not feeding their microbiome what it needs. So they're actually shrinking their microbiome, which means in the long term that could actually hurt their overall health and aging. So I would really love just simply be able to help. That's it. I just want to be of service. The all meat diet will hurt anyone in the long run. That's just the way it is. Okay. And again, the research backs that up as well. In the short term, relieve symptoms. In the long term, meat diet, especially that in red meat, is going to be harmful. It just is. All right. Megan's up next. I've had stomach problems since college, and now I'm 34. I went to Scott in White in Temple. I don't know what that is, and had endoscopies, colonoscopies, CAT scans, and nothing came up. They diagnosed me with IBS and constipation at the time. Years later, I have a friend with similar symptoms, and they had their gallbladder removed after it died inside of her. I had mine tested, and they said it's working 75%. And it would only get worse, so they removed it. Looking back, I wish they wouldn't have, but I started educating myself about Eastern medicine. Before my gallbladder was removed, I threw up a lot, especially when eating fried foods, because nothing would digest. My mother took me to the doctor every time. Let me just move through the question. Again, everyone can read all of the longer questions in full by going to today's show notes at stephencabral.com/988. That's stephencabral.com/988. You can get all of the questions in full. I love people to go to that page, kind of follow along with the questions as I am then giving answers. So she's looking now. She realized because she was on antibiotics so much as a child, she started taking probiotics and digestive enzymes, try to eat healthy 80% of the time. From listening to the podcast, I need to look at my small intestinal pain. I'm trying to do some detox baths. I went to a lady that did biofeedback and said it might be Epstein-Barr virus, that my immune system's weak. I would really like to figure out what's going on so that I can decide on what supplements and tests. Okay, so when you think stomach problems, I want you to always think this way. When you think stomach problems, forget about the viruses temporarily, forget about the heavy metals temporarily, forget about a lot of those things and think overgrowth or think weakened digestive system because of years of inflammation, overgrowth, stress. The best labs that you can run, and always will be for your digestive system, is something that tests for my 4 that I talk about. H. pylori, Candida overgrowth, small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, and parasites. If you can find out which one of those 4 it is, and it's basically only those 4, okay? Even though there's 100 trillion strains of bacteria in your gut, or there's 100 trillion bacteria, I should say, in your gut, not strains. If you can just figure out what's overgrowing, we can help to get that back into check, back into balance, okay? So really, honestly, you could say whatever it might be, and I believe, your gallbladder could have played a role. I wish that, you and many other people would have known that you can actually soften that bile inside the gallbladder and save your gallbladder. But, things happen, right? I took 3,000 capsules of amoxicillin. I don't get to take that back, right? Basically, a nuclear bomb was dropped in my gut between the ages of 14 and 17. And I also took antibiotics at least a half dozen times every single year growing up. I don't get to take that back. All that is right now. No big deal. I'll deal with right now. And again, I dealt with the issues and I'm better now. Same can happen for you. So one thing I always recommend is anybody who's had their gallbladder removed, take a digestive enzyme with all whole food meals. And if you want, take a little bile upon waking and before bed in a tablet form that will enable you to better digest fats, okay? That's neither here nor there. You're not going to be on a heavy fat diet. Simply don't be on a keto diet. That would be absolutely crazy. No one's ever talking about this too. But if you've had your gallbladder removed, please, no high fat diets. It's just, you're not doing yourself any service. So, okay, let's get back to the question at hand. Organic acids test, stool test. Organic acids test is going to test for C. diff. It's going to test for some bacterial overgrowth, and it's going to test for candida. You're going to do the stool test that will test for parasites, H. pylori, and it will test for bacterial overgrowth. Amazing tests, okay? Those are the 2 that you'll start with. Of course, if you want to do the food test, great, but not as important as figuring out the first 2. That will allow you to figure out what you have, and then we can rebalance your gut. After that, you'll be able to absorb, digest foods better. Your body will become stronger, and then it will also be able to deal with things like Epstein-Barr virus, herpes viruses, et cetera, et cetera. Remember, 80% of your immune system is based in and around your gut. If that's where 80% of your immune system is, and you're dealing with viruses right now, better to fix the digestive system to able to better control your immune system. Remember, if you're taking in less foods that cause less inflammation and less of an immune-based reaction, well, then if that's not happening anymore, then your immune system can go and scavenger and take care of all these viruses. That's exactly where I would start. And if you cannot afford those lab tests, we're simply going to get you right into the Candida and bacterial overgrowth protocol, finished by the CBO finisher, which is going to heal and seal that gut wall. Okay, hopefully that helps. That's exactly what I would do in my practice as well. So Leanne is up next. The 7-day weight loss program supportive of a vegan diet. And yes, we're supportive of all diets in general. We don't believe in keto diet for long term. We'll do a lower carb diet for sure for 3 weeks. We don't believe in a carnivore diet because they're imbalanced. They're just thrown too far in one direction, right? You're just eliminating essentially a macro, and that will never work out in the long run. Nothing violent in terms of an exercise program or diet will ever work in the long run. If you're talking about the 7-day Dr. Ball detox, absolutely. It's actually vegan until dinner, and you could decide to do a vegan dinner as well. So without a doubt, yes, completely supportive, and you can actually see it at drcabraldetox.com. That's DRCABRAL and then detox.com. You'll be able to find it there, or equilibriumnutrition.com. And go to any show notes page and you'll be able to find a link for it. We absolutely support anyone who chooses to be vegan in our community. And again, I've been vegan many times and many months in my life. I could not sustain it for my body, but that does not mean that it's not going to necessarily work for another person. And I am wholeheartedly a supporter of anyone because of animal-based reasons and spiritual-based reasons of doing that. So, yes, it will work. Alexandra is up next. Hi there. A couple of years ago, I was diagnosed with Lyme. It had since been treated with strong antibiotics, but I still don't feel 100%. I bought your book a couple months ago, read it cover to cover. I'm based in London, so what tests would you advise I have done, and do you have any affiliates in the UK? All right. If you check out integrativehealthpractitioner.org, in the future, because people could be listening to this in a year from now, we will actually have practitioners all over the world. United States, Canada, the UK, we have people in Iceland, we have people in South America, we have people in Mexico right now going through our program. So I'll have affiliates all over the world, and the level 2 practitioners will be able to do lab testing with people. So yes, in about, let's say about 8 months from now. So let's say the summertime, 2019, I'll have level 2 practitioners all over the world. They are going to be our first group through. Really excited about that. Check out Integrative Health Practitioner. If you are currently a health practitioner, personal trainer, massage therapist, chiropractor, acupuncturist, MD, ND, anyone, or you're looking to get into the health field. So if you maybe want to make a career switch to become a health coach, check it out. Even if you just want to do it part-time, I just think it's one of the best careers in the world. If not the best career, you can just go to integrativehealthpractitioner.org for our next opening and for more information. So just to let you know as well, though, we ship labs to the UK all the time, like every single day. We're shipping supplements and labs and everything else to the UK all the time. I've done many shows on Lyme. Just keep in mind that the antibiotics can work to wipe out the bacteria, but the problem is it wipes out a lot of the mitochondria as well. The reason why people don't feel well after Lyme is not that they have Lyme anymore, is that they have a weakened state, something that mimics myalgic encephalomyelitis, because they've destroyed the mitochondria, because the antibiotics like doxycycline actually kill mitochondria as well, which are bacteria. Now, the bacteria inside the cell are your powerhouses that produce energy. Nobody ever talks about this, but again, when you use conventional medicine, they go in with nuclear bombs, basically, and just carpet bomb and wipe out everything with complete disregard for long-term health. Short-term, we'll go in, we'll wipe out anything that's there. Lyme, anything. Like, you name it, we'll go in, we'll wipe it out. The common cold, hey, throw some antibiotics at it, right? But the problem is, it's the long-term repercussions which are really hurting people. So what would I recommend? Well, I would recommend, without a doubt, the Dr. Cabral Big 5. If you're able to do the Dr. Cabral Big 5 plus the stool test, you'll get all the information you need and more. If you can only pick a few, okay. If you can only pick a few, here's what I'm going to recommend. I'm going to recommend the organic acids test, the stool test, because you take antibiotics. Then I would recommend the thyroid adrenal hormone. Then I would recommend the hair tissue mineral analysis. Then I would recommend the omega-3. And then last would be the food sensitivity test. That's the order in which I would run those labs. Run them all if possible. If not, then that is the place to start. Okay, let's get in one more question. Jennifer's coming in with a question that says, hi there. I take a few anti-anxiety meds and Proloxin and as an antipsychotic that I take for anxiety and PTSD. I'm wondering if Dr. Cabral could help me get off the medications in a healthy way and stabilize me in my anxiety. Does he do things like this? The medication has caused some weight gain, and I'm looking to create overall balance. Jennifer, we would love to be able to help you with this, and it's something that we do all the time in our practice. Remember, we don't treat, we don't diagnose, and we do not cure disease. What we do is we look at the underlying root causes. So I ask all the time, what does this person have, or why are they more prone to post-traumatic stress disorder? Why are they more prone to anxiety? So here's what I do. I run what's called a hair tissue mineral analysis that looks at your overall mineral levels, especially your electrolytes. Very important to me, okay? I also run the thyroid adrenal hormone to see if you are lower on the cortisol or lower on the thyroid or higher on the cortisol, which is in direct correlation with anxiety. So I want to check those out, okay? Those are the first two. After that, I'm running the organic acids test to see if there's some gut dysfunction, such as candida. If you look up the connection between gut disorders and anxiety, they're quite high. The next test I'm running is an omega-3 test. I'm running an omega-3 test to look at higher levels of omega-6s to omega-3s. There's a book called The Brain Diet, many books on omega-3s, and how a deficiency in omega-3s and a surplus of omega-6s can lead to lowered mood, seasonal affective disorder, and anxiety. The last test I'm running is a food sensitivity test to see if you eat certain foods so they cause inflammation in your body from a delayed response over 24 to 72 hours. All of those are called the Dr. Cabral Big 5. If anyone can run the Dr. Cabral Big 5, it's honestly something I recommend on a yearly basis just to check your levels. Now, the reason I'm recommending those are to find imbalances before they become major dis-eases of the body. But if you already have something wrong, well, that's obviously what I do recommend. If you can't run all of those, then I would simply do them in the order that I recommended right there. I would go thyroid adrenal hormone, hair tissue mineral analysis, organic acids test, omega-3, and then food sensitivity test. Those are the numbers, I should say, the labs in the order of importance that I would recommend to you. And I would love to be able to help you with this, honestly, because I know how anxiety can affect people's life and that they're not able to live their best life. They're not able to get the body they want, the health they want, and really move forward with the drive and ambition and have everything that they want, the great relationships. So we'd love to be able to help you with that. And of course, as always, I just want you to know, if you feel like you know a qualified practitioner in your local community that can do it as well without, just going right away towards bioidentical hormones, those types of things, I'd recommend it. I just can vouch for my team, my health coaches, and myself. And again, we're able to help, but it doesn't always have to be us. I'm trying to promote natural health in general and the field of natural health. And I just want it to be more inclusive, and I want to be a spearhead for that. I just want to be one of those people promoting overall natural health. And so hopefully that was helpful. Thank you everyone for tuning in today. Always a pleasure being able to answer your questions. It really is. I'll be back tomorrow answering more of our community's questions. Take care. Have an amazing weekend. Ever wonder what the best sauna, blue blockers, sleep trackers, wake lights, salt lamps, or other health gadgets are? Or what about the top non-toxic mattresses, sheets, soaps, bath products, toothpaste, and cookware? Or would you like to know the cleanest choices for hemp parts, meal delivery services, supplements, and much more? I personally curated, researched, and now created a resource page of all of my top picks that continues to grow each week. These are the exact products I use in my own life, with my family, in my private practice, and they're the ones I trust. To find out all of my up-to-date recommendations and all the details, simply head on over to stephencabral.com/resources.